This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city, and yes, we're live this afternoon. 2 weeks to Thanksgiving, I might remind you. Yes, 2 weeks. I think it's dawning on everybody today. It's an early Thanksgiving, which means more time between Thanksgiving and the holiday season, Christmas, etc. So, just heed warning here. Just warning you that it's coming and it's coming fast. Speaking of go fast and furious, let's go immediately right over to Art from the Art Report, because I'm sure he's got a full report today. Art, where are you?
I'm right here.
Hey,
and
Art.
you know what? It's
What?
that time of year. Make sure you got extra windshield washer at the house because you're going to be needing it. You know how messy it gets, and you want to, especially in the morning with frost, instead of scraping the windshield. And sometimes those scrapers will make marks in the glass. I let the wipers do the work with the windshield washer, and if you notice, this time of year when you turn the wipers on with that, it streaks the frost on the windshield. Before you do it, you take a rag, lift the wiper out, take a rag, and just run it down the blade. You'd be surprised how it cleans them, and they do a better job.
Well, look at you.
And also, don't forget to swing by the DPW or the barrels if they put them out on your street.
That's right.
Get some free sand and salt. That always comes in handy, especially when you're walking on the driveway and it's slippery. Unless you drink heavy, and then you're used to slipping and sliding when you're walking around.
Look at you, Mr. Safety.
It is. And, you know, sweaters. I talked about this last year. Loose-fitting sweaters or long shirts. If you've got a small round railing going down the stairs, be careful. I hooked mine twice on it. The railing went up the sleeve, and you'll take a tumble. You don't need to be doing that.
No.
You got to be very cognizant of what's going on, and start up the snow blowers now just to make sure they'll
That's
run
right.
okay.
Get them started. Get the gas
And
in
spray
there.
a little WD-40 on the chute, and you won't get as many clogs in the heavy, wet snow.
Worst time to start firing up those babies is in the middle of the storm.
You can say that again. You can say that again. It's very important. Little tips that'll give you less aggravation. And I keep my driveway snowblower in the garage.
Yes.
So I'm able to start it inside. It doesn't get covered with snow. And the one outside, I have one up on the walk. If you have two, like I do, to keep it out of the snow, it makes it easier to start, and it's easier on the machine. I take a plastic tote, it fits right over it, like an overcoat. It's perfect. I put it right over the motor, and it protects the engine and everything else and all the workings. Go out, take it off. There's no snow on the snowblower. Fire it right up.
Look at you.
That's about it.
You are something.
And buy some mittens.
Mittens. Smitten mittens.
Nothing worse, mittens. Haven't heard that word in a long time.
Everything. I keep buying gloves, especially at the end of the season, if they're on sale, and hats. But by the time it comes to, by the time it gets to winter again, I can't find them.
You know, has a lot of gloves, different types, etc. Ocean State Job Lot.
Yeah.
Over at the plaza
Water
over there.
tower.
Anybody know what's going in that building?
No.
Was it Shaw's?
Waterless tower. They used to have a water tower, and they took it down, so it's now Waterless Tower Plaza.
Yes.
Well,
Any news what's going in the Shaw's?
It'll be a supermarket.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Oh.
Superless
Wow,
market.
that ought to make some people happy.
I guess. I don't. You know, we're very price conscious around here. We know the price of everything.
Yeah, and I see there's some activity down at the mall with signs going up about furniture, unless those are old signs, but I noticed them today.
Yeah, no, they're over at where Macy's used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a nice job in there.
Good, yeah, I
Looks
want to
good.
get over there. And I saw quite a few cars over there today.
Bring your own pillow.
Things are starting to perk up in the city of Leominster.
Yes. Well,
And put an overcoat if you have a pink flamingo,
we're in
so it'll
business.
stay warm in the cold weather.
All right, Art.
Be well, behave, re-elect Mazzarella.
That's the plan. Take care, Art. That was Art from the Art Report, 978-534-1626. John, we got two Johns here today, John Tata and Johnny Ahern. They're going to be speaking with us in just a minute about the Breakfast for the Bands, a tradition for, I don't know how many years, maybe they know, but it's been a long time. And it's the local Rotaries, Fitchburg and Leominster Rotary Clubs, and they get together every year and do this big breakfast and raise a lot of money for the bands. So we're going to take a short break. Bradley, did we get anything from the police station visit?
Let's find out.
All right. All right, taking a short break, and then we're coming right back. We'll be talking breakfast. Hi, Dean Mazzarella, inside Leominster. Welcome. We're at the new police station, police headquarters here on Central Street. Everyone's talking about it, and not everybody's had a chance to come in. So we wanted to give you a little preview, and we've gotten to the point where it's safe to come inside the building. And as you'll see, it's at different stages of finish. The site work in terms of the foundation has been in. They've been laying the brick, but for the most part now they're at the, the mechanicals are in, and now they're at the point where they're insulating and sheetrocking, and then the finish. And so Chief Kennedy's here, and just give you a little preliminary on the outside here. Square footage in the building?
Around 40,000, a little less than 40,000 square feet. 3 floors, parking underneath. This is the entranceway into the station where people will be coming in to report, crimes or need any type of assistance. Basically, there'll be some kiosks off to the side here where people can access certain information that they need. Records is going to be right over here, so people can be able to get accident reports or anything needed for court to help them. Right here is going to be with a house officer who's going to greet people coming into the lobby for whatever assistance they need. The OIC is behind this wall. This is like an interview room, but it's also, if anything, we have a lot of people that do come into the station, and it's a very serious situation. We can easily get them out another door into like a safe room. So that's here. And going that way, we have various admin offices for like domestic violence, outreach, firearms, permitting, and we can stop the walk, but that's basically where we're going to start.
All right, let's go. So this would be the community wing of the building where people would come in. It's, they're looking to get services or whatever it might be, and so this is set up, and they don't have to travel to the whole station in order to
They can only go so far.
Right.
They can only go back a one way.
In the old station, it was a hodgepodge of things, and it was not uncommon to be sort of crisscrossing and bumping into each other when going to either book a prisoner, and sometimes you had prisoners walking in the hall while you had civilian employees, and that's all going to go away in this building here. So it's all a lot of thought, a lot of advanced thought has been put into it. And we're back. That's the preliminary interior look at the police station, right on Central Street. 40,000 square feet. They're in about 10 now, maybe a little bit more than 10, maybe 15. And so we're going to show you little clips along the way, and then maybe Bradley will put it up. And Keith were there. Yes, they did a good job. We were there quite a while. We were there almost an hour. Keith did it all?
Yeah, we have way more video to show.
Maybe just a special segment, right?
Yeah, that was just, we didn't even show you the full 5 minutes. I've got like a half hour that I cut out of that.
Okay.
So
all right.
There will be more on the channel coming soon.
Beautiful. 978-534-1626. John Tata and Johnny Ahern are with me for Breakfast of the Bands. I think today it dawned on everyone. 2 weeks to Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Breakfast is coming up like around the corner.
A little over a week.
And we need to start thinking about getting those tickets. And again, this goes to support the bands from both schools. So does anybody actually know how many years this has been going on?
26.
Is it 26? How could that be? It was going on before I was here. It has to be more than 26. No?
That's what Paul tells me. Paul's in charge.
Paul, where are you, Paul?
No, he's
Well, we got Mayor Perla here. I bet you was going on when he was here. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Trivia question. A couple of weeks ago, I asked a question. I said, you know, we did these, we have like a hayride, and we're giving rides downtown. So I said, it was really cool because when you're kids and you're 14 or 15, there's not much to do. So the YMCA was barely hanging in there. And, but there was a farm on Willard Street. And I said, they used to, on like Friday and Saturday night, for 50 cents, they'd take you on a hayride. So that was like a big deal, right? When you're 14, 15. It's a big deal. But I couldn't remember. It was like so Diane Sanabria over at the library heard me asking the question. So she did some research, because nobody knew what I was talking about. So I said, well, maybe I was just, you know, sometimes you think something, and I was hallucinating maybe.
Imagining it.
Yeah, sometimes you think something happened, but it didn't. And sure enough, Silver Saddles, and it was the Graham family over where the condos are on Willard Street. And I remembered that Willie Graham, I think it was Willie Graham, was a classmate of mine. And I remember that. So it did happen. There was a place, there was hay rides, there was a farm, and now we know the name of it. So nobody could remember. Even the great historians of Leominster couldn't remember.
Nah.
So don't worry about it. We'll find out.
No, I believe it was
intrigued.
around 1996
Okay.
and 95.
Hey, listen, I am wrong every day, most of the day. Well, anyway, so tell us what's going on.
We'll have the breakfast researcher check that for you, Dean.
Where's the researcher?
Not here.
We'll find out.
Off-site. We'll find out.
We'll have a contest.
But anyway, you know, we over that time, we've put about $100,000 into both bands.
That's incredible.
Band parents associations. The band doesn't get the money. The band parents group gets it. All right.
Right.
And so this year, like every year, all right, we're going to give you a full breakfast. We're going to have pancakes, scrambled eggs, sausage, hash browns,
bacon. We got extra bacon. We
gotta have bacon.
We ran out early last year.
There's no breakfast without
this year
bacon.
We got extra bacon.
Clog up them arteries.
I just got another box this morning.
Oh, perfect.
Another box?
Yeah.
Jeez.
You know, like 15 pounds of bacon.
Yeah, that's a lot of bacon.
Yeah. And we're in Leominster this year, so Bob Burr and Michelle Palladino, all right, the staff there, they spend the whole morning with us. It's not one of these, we open it up and we stand in the back of the room and we'll and show you how to work this if you need help. They're in there, it's like having 5 more people in the kitchen.
Nice.
And so they always make breakfast pastries. One of those rolling racks with trays on it, they fill it up.
Good stuff.
So it's going to be super stuff there. And then we expect to have all our friends from the staff, senior staff in the school department out there serving. We're going to have football players out there serving.
Nice.
The football kids, they really like doing that. Yeah, let me see. What else is on my checklist, huh?
I think this year, we're projecting about 1,000, hopefully 1,000 student or 1,000 meals that we plan on having. Every year we increase our numbers, so this year I think we're projecting right around 1,000.
Oh, that's good. And again, everything is just about donated, right? I mean,
so, and a lot of the companies here locally in Leominster or within Fitchburg, they're donating baskets, they're donating food.
Because you have the raffle.
Correct. We have a lot of raffles going on, and we can't do it without the support of all these different businesses as well. And this is the first year, I believe, that we are going all compostable with our plates, our silverware, our cups.
Jeez, John, huh?
So
look at you.
See why I hired this young guy, huh?
So the environment is one of our pillars for Rotary, so this year we're really trying to focus on that as well. So
cool.
we're able to get all those items donated.
Did you get, does the company that's down near you donate anything?
So yes and no.
Yeah,
So
they have some
Earthpact
products
here in Leominster, they donate by pallets.
Okay.
We actually got all these items from their sister company in Waltham that can do smaller amounts.
Oh,
so
nice.
I actually went down to Waltham, picked everything up, and I'll go back tomorrow to pick up some more. So
good. So
Even though I'd rather just walk across the street.
I know.
It's a little bit easier.
A new twist, right?
Yeah.
And what a breakfast. I mean, there's everything you can ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
So don't eat for 2 days before you get there.
And we have a few days left for sponsorships. One, the raffle, all right? And if somebody wants to put something in the raffle, the easy thing they can do is drive it directly to Manor on the Hill. They're storing all our raffle items.
And I think we need everything by Wednesday, Wednesday of next week. That way they can get everything.
And you can't be chasing things down on Saturday morning.
Plus, we have volunteers that are labeling everything, getting everything ready, so all the
Getting all
logistics
the
side is
forms
done ahead
ready
of time.
and-
Correct.
Yeah. And we, like every year, we're going to have a kid's bicycle. We're going to have an overnight stay at Great Wolf. Just a couple of the hot ones there. You know, restaurant gift certificates and even some coffee basket.
All right.
And,
We always have to partake.
right.
And we'll have coffee at the breakfast as well, so please.
I have to say, John
Have a
and Aroma Joe's is always generous at all of our events. They're
try
the
to
first
be.
ones to raise their hands.
It's a way for us
and,
to give back. Community supports us, we support the community.
So a little plug for John. He owns Aroma Joe's. And then, how's your second one doing?
Busy.
Is that the second one?
So Tewksbury is our second location.
Are you going to do another?
We own 3 more licenses, so there's
You
three
do?
more.
Oh, so you can buy them and keep them in their pocket.
Well, we owned the third one years ago,
Yeah.
but we will get that started, and then we just bought 2 more licenses about a month and a half ago.
Wow,
So
good for you.
we got a total of 5 on our ideas right now. So
When I was in Maine, everybody knew Aroma
yeah.
Joe's. I mean, they're just everywhere. And then it just gradually moved like towards New Hampshire.
Leominster's the first one in the state of Massachusetts.
And then there were none. And I thought, but there's so many people that vacation in
yeah.
Maine that Aroma Joe's wasn't anything new to them.
And it's nice now because a lot of our staff, they leave here, go to school, but they end up transferring to a Maine or New Hampshire location.
Because they go to school or live there, right?
This is the first year we're actually getting people transferring here to Fitchburg State. Like, oh, I used to work in Maine. I'm like,
Wow.
come on in. So, so for us, it's
well, good
it's
for
nice.
you. Glad for you.
And you got to put the poster up for us, Carl?
You better. You guys better do what you're told back there. Do we have a poster?
We got a hard copy. But
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
he's got
We'll
on
just
his
keep
sheet.
talking and they'll find a poster.
All right. So we're still soliciting for ads.
When's
we've
the
got-
deadline for our placement sponsors? Because we're printing the ad here, I believe, next week.
Here we go.
Right. So we need to go Tuesday.
Old fashioned. You hold that up to your chest. There.
I have one of those. There you go.
I'll get a shot of it.
Good, John. You can talk right through it.
Sharp as a tack.
There you go.
And we do have 4 levels. Actually, now 4 levels of sponsorship. You can get a placemat line ad, and you have that one to show, Carl.
There we go.
For $50, you can get a corporate ad. The placemat line ad comes with 5 tickets. Corporate comes with 10 tickets. Banners, and we have people who display their banners around the cafeteria. That's a $300 with 20 tickets. And now we have 4 slots available for a QR code sponsor.
You can
at
put that down,
$500.
John. They've got it up on the screen now.
And that's the detail right there.
There you go.
Yep.
Nice job. So February. It's November 20th.
November
Getting ahead of
20th.
yourself.
Yesterday, I wasn't sure what
Just
day it
skipping the
was.
whole
I was so
holiday
busy,
season.
I'm a mess. Anyway, coming up on November 20th, 8 in the morning, right?
Correct.
Kick off at
And it
8
is
in the morning. Come in,
Sunday.
get your raffles. Don't eat
Sunday
for
the
2
20th.
days. You'll have anything you can imagine that you could have for breakfast will be there, right?
It's going to be terrific.
Leominster High School cafeteria.
And I do have to add one thing.
Uh-oh.
We have to beat Fitchburg as far as number of quantities, because as you know, we are rivals.
right, well,
and
yes.
it is hosted here in Leominster
All right,
this
so
year.
what is it?
Right.
So we have to come out in full force, just so
Right.
we have bragging rights for another year.
So do we know what that is so that
Let's get 1,000 people.
1,000 people. So we
1,000
need
people.
1,000 people to kind of
right.
break the record. No, Carl, you can't keep coming through the line saying that you're...
And I want to close
Yes.
on a commercial for you.
What? What is it?
The new flag that you provided
Yes.
for the Samoset School yesterday. That was a wonderful thing. It was a delightful lunch, And you know, I got reunited there.
Reunited?
Reunited with the furniture I put in when they built that school.
Wow, pretty good.
1995.
Is it still under warranty?
They'd have to check the paperwork.
Typical salesman. Yes, we had a nice day yesterday. It all started with a young lady who wrote a letter to me saying that the flag was tattered in front of Somerset School and said it was, you know, kind of, you know, she didn't blame anybody and say, oh, it's, you know, so-and-so's fault, but she said, you know, we need to get another flag and blah, blah, blah. And so I said, sure. So then we made a whole thing of it. So we got the veterans up there and had a breakfast and lunch for the veterans. They brought all the kids out from the school. It was nice. It was, huh? It really was.
Came together well.
So never think that you can't make change, right? That you can't take action. This one young lady brought us all together, and it was a good day. So a lot of students whose grandparents or parents or great-grandparents in some cases are veterans, and we're there to help celebrate. So pretty good. Johnny, too, right? A veteran?
I am a veteran.
Yeah. See?
10-year Army.
10 years you did?
10 years, yeah.
What made you, I mean, after 10, you got to start thinking about, I may as well hang in there.
Well, normally enlistments are 4 or 5 years, and once you get to E6 at 10 years, it's your next enlistment's indefinitely. So 10 years is a hard pill to swallow. So it's like, I don't know about 10 more years, right?
Well, 10 years is a long time. So, thank you both for your service.
Thank you.
Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we start at 10:30 downtown with the ceremony. I suspect that it'll be rain or shine outside.
It's not going to rain.
Okay. So John said it won't rain, and so it'll be at 10:30 downtown in the Common, and then we move over to City Hall at 11 o'clock. And it's a compact. There's a lot that goes on in a short amount of time. So if you don't have a lot of time, you have an hour or so, come by. And if not, there are a lot of other ways to thank a veteran, right? Just a text or a phone call or whatever. Hey, buddy, you're right. Just want to let you know, appreciate your service, right?
Exactly.
It's a big thing.
And today's the Marine Corps birthday, just so you know.
Yes, Marine Corps birthdays today. So much going on. Marine Corps, that's right. Richard Voltor posted that first thing this morning on social media. So good. Thank you all. All right, we will take a short break. Our phone number is 978-534-1626. We'll be talking to Mayor Steve Perla in just a minute. And if you'd like to call, if you want to just call and say hello, that's fine too. And but we'll be right back.
The Breakfast for the Bands have been going on for 27 years, and in total we've raised over $110,000 for each of the Fitchburg and Leominster High School bands. And what a great event to bring everyone together, although there is a rivalry between the two cities, but an amazing time to unify the two cities.
So we want to see you there on Saturday, November 20th from 8 to 11:30 at Leominster High School.
Come to the breakfast and go Red Raiders.
We are here in Leominster, of course, celebrating another year for Breakfast for the Bands. Paula, we intend to raise more money than even last year, which was a record breaker.
It is my goal to beat last year, because that's what we do here in Leominster. We have to beat last year's limit. So whatever we can do to promote everything, we need everyone to come out this year. It's two cities coming together for a benefit of children in our bands. What this program and this event actually provides for the music programs at these two schools is so far above and beyond what traditionally we can provide.
It's just a great time, Johnny, and so much going on between Leominster Rotary Club and Fitchburg Rotary Club.
The students benefit from the funds that are raised, and we can't do it without the support of both towns, both Fitchburg and Leominster.
Our bands play. They're exquisite. Their showmanship is phenomenal. You see why we continue to support them year after year.
November 20th, of course, the morning at Appleseed's Restaurant at Leominster High School.
They all know it back there, right, Bradley and Keith and Alan? And there's no plan for the show. It just goes. Last week, I had Bradley jumping around. Anyway, welcome back to Inside Leominster. We're live this afternoon, and we'll have a little fun because Mayor Steve Perla is here. Steve, welcome back to the show here.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Nice to be here.
It's a lot of time has gone by.
It has. You know, it's been probably 30 years, Mayor.
Wow.
Yeah.
And everybody will say, I'll see people like, hey, where's Steve Perla? I'm like, well, he's all over the place. And today we just put some things together. Clearly, you've been everywhere. I mean, it's been a career of a whole lot of things. And so you first got elected, well, 84 to 86 was when you were city councilor. Right? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And then after that, from 88 to 92, you became mayor. And it was an interesting time. First of all, we were young.
That's right, very young.
So
yes.
as I was starting the police department, I was on for a couple of years, you became mayor. But it was an interesting time, interesting players.
Yes.
I'm not going to be critical about anything, but it was just an interesting time. It was a time of street fighting. Is that
Well, you know, I first got elected actually to the school committee.
Yes,
back
yes,
in
I did have that.
1978. And so
were you really in 70? We were only out of school 3 years.
Yeah. So I got elected. I was just turning 20.
Wow.
And it was a very good experience. I learned a great deal being on the board. And Leominster school system at that time was in a big transition. And in part, it was still really struggling with space. And so there were big decisions that had to be made around additional schools or whatever, right? And to your point earlier, when I was on the council and then got elected mayor, you know, some of the big issues at that time were growth, because as you might recall, there was a lot of growth in the city.
500 to 800 building permits per year.
Yeah, it was incredible. And people were very concerned about the school enrollment, about traffic, and all those issues that come along with growth.
Right.
And in addition to that, yes, there were a lot of, I think the city was at a crossroads, because you had some people that wanted to still see a lot of development. You had others that didn't want to see that kind of development. And as a result, you know, a lot of conversation. And there was a lot more at that time, too, I think, activists.
Right.
A lot of activists.
People had time to come to the meetings.
Yes.
They read the newspaper. When I first started banging on doors, literally, people read the newspaper, had the weather in the corner, all the way through.
Yeah.
Obituaries, marriages, divorces, legal notices. If you wanted to sell something, you took a little ad out. Advertisements, church notices, everything was in that paper.
Oh, yeah. It
everything.
was a much different time at that time. And I will say, though, again, it was a great learning experience. The citizens of this community have always been very good to me and really allowed me to learn a great deal as well, which I've carried throughout my entire career.
Because you're young and it's all... It's all real to you, like moment by moment. There's but you're learning along the way.
Yeah, and I think at that age, when you're that young, you have a lot of idealism. Yeah, and I think as you get older, right, you become a lot more practical. Yeah. But it's good to have that idealism as well. I think to have aspirations.
Right. So there's a lot going on, and so at some point, a decision was made to put additions on the schools.
That's right.
And that was like 3 big projects going on at the same exact time.
That's right. Yeah, we had put an addition onto the vocational school, as you may recall. And we also did one to Johnny Appleseed, as well as the, we looked at Northwest. Those were the 3 at the time, as I remember. Right. And, you know, it was a difficult time to do it because you might recall during the late 80s and early 90s, we began to have some economic troubles across the country.
Right, we're going to a recession.
We weren't exempt from that.
Right.
And it was one of the first times that the state ever actually reduced our state aid.
Right, right.
So you're trying to balance, trying to make sure you can meet the needs of the school department, other needs in the city, at the same time while you had, you know, the state aid being reduced substantially.
Right.
And
people's property values.
Yes.
Right? And I remember that whole thing where you were in the middle of that, where on the backside of it, you're a year behind people's property values.
Right.
They got a tax bill, and they're like, yeah, but my property isn't worth that anymore.
Right.
That's because it's a year behind.
It's a year behind.
And then you had to answer to that. I remember that whole thing. Big binders all over the hearing, public hearings. There's poor Mayor Perla standing up trying to explain to people, well, it's your value based on what it was last year, and it's a pie, and you know, all those things. And
and you just do it. I mean, as you know, Mayor, you've been here a long time and done a good job. The reality is this, that it's all about communications. And I think what's really important in any kind of leadership job is you have to be able to be transparent, you got to be communicative, and you have to be collaborative. Those are all important things because you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
And the other thing I think you got to do as well is you got to listen. I mean, I can recall, because you're dealing with the city council.
Lillian Klein.
Oh, good old Lillian, God rest her soul.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, a lot of conversations
She was a community
with her.
activist.
Yeah. She was one of the more active ones.
Yeah.
and she always had an opinion.
Yeah, bright lady.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I always liked Lillian, and we didn't always agree, but always enjoyed her conversations. Yes, yeah.
978-534-1626. Pyramid Mall.
Oh God,
you lived through that.
Yes, I did. I did.
That engaged the whole community.
Oh God.
You couldn't stop at a variety store to get a stick of gum without a conversation about Pyramid Mall.
Well, you know, the thing about that development, now you're really going back some ways here, but what I recall about it is that you're right. We had the entire community engaged.
Because it required like a zoning change or something?
Right, it did. And it was down, of course, down on Lancaster Street, where we now have the Walmart and that whole area.
Yeah.
And what I saw in that development at the time was the opportunity to really leverage other projects. So you might remember, Mayor, what we had done at that time is we said if we're going to allow this to happen, we'd like to get some funding for the police department, which I'm very happy to see is now underway, a new department, a facility. We also talked about the new school building.
Right.
So we had a number of projects.
The new tax revenue that come in at a difficult time.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of money to spend on it, so it's like, okay, they're going to build a mall. We can use that tax revenue to start, to build another school.
So we try to, as part of that negotiations, we tried to negotiate a package. And what happened was we had a special election. We actually won in every precinct.
Yes.
If you go back and look, we won in every precinct.
I still have the button. It's a blue button with a pyramid on it.
Yeah. And so even in the, ward, which I believe was Ward 3 at the time, even in that ward, we won that vote.
Right.
And that special election, though, I think delayed the project enough so it went south because of finances.
Economy.
The economy went south at the time.
Devon's was closing.
Exactly.
Economy tanked.
Yeah.
And they said, we're out of here, which was really disappointing.
It was.
There was a lot of time spent on building support for it and being transparent about the project and the impact to the, to the community and what would happen to the tax revenue.
Yeah.
All that time spent, and then they just kind of packed up, and I never got another Christmas card from them. Never heard from anybody.
No.
And they were nice people. Obviously, they have a job to do. And, but that was big at the time. And of course, there were things, part of the conversation, well, what about the mall? Right. So you must have got a lot of pressure about that. Like, well, what about us? We already have a mall here, and they're going to take our customers. You must have been in the middle of that.
Oh, yeah. There were a lot of that. And I have to say, at the time, I had asked the former mayor, God rest his soul, Richie Gerard, who I had run against, and I had asked Richie, I said, would you, mind chairing a committee to sort of look at the pros and cons? And we had a group of people come together, and there were people that I knew that would support the project, and I also knew there were people on that committee that were opposed to it.
Right.
And I thought it might be good to have a very open conversation. And Richie did a very nice job, and I was thankful to him because he didn't have to do that.
Right.
And they came back with a report, and the report I thought was very balanced. And I used that report to really, make a judgment and to support the project. And based on the negotiations that we had and how we were going to leverage that project, I felt it was a really good thing for the city. And but you're right, it was a very interesting time. There were a lot of people for it. There were some opposed to it, and the ones that were opposed were very vocal. And I can understand their concerns.
Oh, yeah.
People have their issues, but which is fine, and you got to respect those.
But it was part of history. I mean, at the time, and again, you can only. There's a call waiting. We'll wait a second, but you can only deal with what you have in front of you.
Right.
Even though you wish something else, you're like,
That's right.
This is what I have in front of me: a proposal to build a mall. If I don't get the mall, this is what happens. If we get the mall, this happens.
Yeah.
At the time, the mall here was very, they were doing very well. There was very few vacancies. Another mall would have, later, if you think about it, that mall ended up becoming the Solomon Pond Mall.
Yes,
if you really think about it, it served that area, that 117, Worcester, if you drew a circle around it. Carla, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dino.
Hey, Crystal, how are you?
Good.
Are they giving anything free away down there at the Hannaford's on Lancaster Street?
No, they're going to start the remodel on
I heard
the 14th.
that. I heard they're having a big remodeling going on down there. Boy, they're spending some money.
Yep.
Good for them.
And if any veterans is a veteran, they have 10% off tomorrow.
Wow, that's really nice. Are you going to go to the wrestling match on Saturday night?
I'm going to Wright's Chicken Farm with Jill and her family.
Oh, wow, look at you.
So this was the mayor before you?
Yeah, no, he was two mayors before me.
That's right.
But we graduated.
Okay.
But we graduated together.
Nice.
All right, Crystal. Talk to you
I'll
later.
talk to you soon, buddy.
All right,
Yep,
buddy.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
It was nice for me to hear Art's voice.
Yes, Art.
I remember
Bartlett.
Art and Rita, good
Yeah.
people on Judy
Oh,
Drive.
nice,
yeah,
nice,
nice family. Absolutely.
Remember her? So that would that have been her brother? I'm trying to think.
I don't know if that's Rita's, but you know, Art and yeah. But nice family. I recall
Really
on
nice
Judy
people.
Drive. Yeah, I love Art. He's
There's
a great
so
guy.
many people who had supported you in the time who are gone now, who passed.
Oh, I know.
And
It's
I was explaining that to Kelly today in our office. I said, you got to realize, like his supporters were 30 and 40 at the time.
That's right.
And now
right.
they're 60, 70, 80 years old. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
And you had kids, you have 3 kids, grandkids in the school. So you were thinking about, hey, what happens in the future? But that was a tough time because Leominster really wasn't, no fault of yours, but it wasn't ready for development at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And people were buying farms, and people were aging out saying, geez, our family's tired. We're not, somebody's developer says, we're going to buy the property, and we'll give you X amount of dollars. And we're like, we're out of here. and then the developers come in, and I see it a lot in places like Rutland and Westminster and other places where it doesn't seem like they're ready for all this development because at some point, it's going to tax the schools.
Yeah.
And it was a tough time. But you know what? We always seem to get through these things.
We
the
do.
overcrowding and
Absolutely.
double sessions for us or split sessions. You get through them. They become just part of life. And
you just adjust and you do your best.
Yeah.
You know, and the people in the community are good people. And for the most part, they're going to work with you and be helpful.
Yeah, and I think what everyone needs to understand is just because you become mayor of the city or the manager of the city or whatever, or police chief or whatever, doesn't mean that automatically everybody gets around you and says, okay, what do you want to do?
Right.
There are people who are, will say, hey, I've been here, I've seen 3 mayors before you, I'll see you go. I saw them 3 go, I'll see you go. There's that. So it takes a little while. You're trying to get the job done, and there are people that are with you, there are people that aren't. You don't want to fire people.
No,
you want to kind of bring them along.
That's right.
And sometimes they never come along. So that, it's a very, volatile kind of thing. I mean, things are always moving. One day is good, but it's a great job. It's a great city, and it's a challenging time to be the mayor. As I said, I mean, reporters every day covered it. Every word you said was in the next paper at every city council meeting. And I'm lucky. I have a really good council. I think I was telling you that last time I saw you. I said, they are thorough. I mean, thorough. And so, we have email now. So they email you, they'll call, they'll text. And nothing's passing unless it gets vetted, right?
Right.
But it's different. It's not, a public battle.
Yeah.
Nothing's personal, which is really good because, as you know, things can get personal.
Oh, they can.
They get really personal.
Yeah. And I think really, when some of the councilors would get a little bit upset about things, you got to just take it with a grain of salt, as you know. Otherwise, it can go.
You won't sleep. You get houses.
It's not worth it. No.
And then you were here for the big centennial.
Yes, I was.
The big celebration. That was huge.
Yeah, it was great. In fact, my daughter had just got born. I think my youngest daughter is the only baby that was born to a mayor while in office.
Wow.
I think. And so Annie was born, and so we had the parade right after her birth. And yeah, it was a fun parade. It was great. The city came alive. It was positive.
Yeah,
it was nice to have that kind of excitement.
People came from delegation from Leominster, England. It was a big deal. It lasted like 2 or 3 hours, the parade. I remember it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a good time.
So what was if you had to pick one thing, and you've had a lot of time to think about it, and sometimes people say, what's like the favorite thing that you've done? And I'll tell them, and they'll say, that's it? I'm like, you asked me. If you think back, what's something that that it gets you excited about? You drive by and you say, that was really a good project.
Yeah, I think that if I were to think about that, Mayor, I think the 3 additions to the schools, I think that was important. And I think the other thing that was really important, and this was really a battle, as you may remember, was trying to position the court downtown. We didn't finish that project. I think you ended up finishing that project. But that was a battle royale, as you might remember, because they wanted to put it in Carter.
Carter building.
And I
people
thought
didn't
that
want
was
it to go to Carter.
Yeah, and I thought it was a bad move, and I'll tell you why. Because downtown, I thought it was really important for revitalization to have really a mixed use. And I saw the court as, again, being a leverage to really attract other types of offices, which then helps the restaurants in
People,
downtown,
sure.
right? And so as I looked at it from a planning perspective, I really felt having it downtown was critical. And that, you know, as a result, I'll never forget the conversation. At that time, there was former Mayor McLaughlin was on the council, former Mayor Mahan was on the council, and we had a conversation about it. And we brought Louis Amadio, who was the superintendent at the time.
Boy, he knew his way around.
Yes, God rest all these gentlemen's souls. They're all now
I still think about some of the things he said early on. I only got a chance to work with him a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, the guy was masterful.
Yeah, Louis was great to work with. I always enjoyed working with him. But we had brought Louis in, and we said, you know what? We think it's time to close up Gallagher because we really have to use this as the anchor. And Louis was very, very supportive of that. And I think in the long run, and you would know better than me at this point, but I think in the long run, having the court downtown has helped because it's one more use, and I think having that mixed use is really important.
Absolutely. No, trust me, it's people. I moved my business across the street, and we have the cafe.
Yeah.
And as we're coming out of COVID, I never expected to do much business with the people down there. I just didn't know how many, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You figure they bring their own lunch or they make their coffee. And you wouldn't believe how many people are downtown in those offices. Some are 3 or 4, some are 15 or 20.
Which is great.
It's key. And, when we did the library, same sort of thinking. And thinking what your plan is, it might be a little more expensive, but we've got to keep the library downtown.
Yeah, I think it's
And the
smart.
same with the police station. We tried to keep it there. We ended up, it's kind of like the downtown, but it's what keeps the downtown so vibrant. It's people. You got to have people, and those people will shop and visit with other businesses. And now that also by closing Gallagher, I always heard that by closing Gallagher put us in a better spot. It kind of upped us in terms of getting on the list when we finally built Samoset.
That's right. That was all
so that was
part
kind of a
the
power play at the time, right?
Right. We tried to look at the whole system, and at that time, of course, it was K-8,
right?
As you may remember.
Yes.
And so the additions changed the system to a K-8 system, and we looked at Samoset, and we didn't have the money at that time to proceed, and thankfully, once you got into office, you're able to do that, and I think it's very important for the city. But yes, closing Gallagher allowed us to get on that list.
Became a higher
the school
priority.
building assistant, right? The SBAB program, which is critical.
That was you, Bob Antonioni, worked on that.
Yes.
And coincidentally, the economy was bad.
That's
so
right.
other school districts in 1995 said, we can't afford to do the project.
That's right.
And we said, let's take advantage of this.
That's right. That's right. And Bob was great when it came to the court.
Right.
Because he took a lot of pressure because some of the people that worked at the court were not too excited.
Right. So he had to hear it every day.
Right. He had to hear it every day. Yeah. Plus he was a state rep at the time. And but he really helped, trying to navigate that for us at the state level. So
the schools were a big deal. All right. So before we run out of time, so you've done a lot. I mean, you were big in terms of superintendent of schools for the Catholic Church. I mean, you had a whole lengthy career just with education in the Catholic diocese.
Yeah. So now, Mayor, I own my own company.
Yeah.
It's called ADAC. We have about 105 employees. We're in about 1,500 private schools across the country. Most of our clientele are Catholic schools, and we primarily do 2 things. One, we help the schools access federal funds, federal resources. And the second thing we do, we have a whole academic division, and that academic division works with private school teachers, helping them teach students who have learning disabilities. Because
that's always a weakness within they just don't have the staff or the money to be able to do that.
Right. So historically, you're absolutely right. A lot of our private schools have not been able to really address that need. And so, it's a passion of mine, and so I decided to kind of focus in on that area. And the business has just exploded.
Yeah, it sounds it.
And it was supposed to be like kind of a little retirement niche, a little consulting
105
gig.
people.
It has now grown. So every time the payroll time is, I always hold my breath.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the
probably
wonderful thing of owning the business.
Making sure we have the cash flow. But thus far, we've been very blessed and have gone very well.
Well, technology now, you're able to do a whole lot more. And we learned through COVID.
That's right.
There's so much more you could do with technology. So you can offer services to these schools that just wouldn't, and have it affordable. They wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to deliver these services.
Yeah.
Which creates a good, and for them, when they're trying to do open houses or recruit, you know, people come in and say, so what can you offer as a school? I kind of need these extra things. Now they can offer those.
That's right. It makes a big difference. It really does. And, you know, COVID, as you know, really had a big impact on these kids. I mean, in terms of social, emotional issues. I know we see it both in the public and the private schools all across the country. I know we have a lot of learning gaps that we're dealing with. And so there are multiple issues, and we hear this every day, and we're trying to provide service as best we can, you know, to these schools. And literally, we are from east to west and north to south and Midwest, and the company is doing very, very well.
It's funny, Chuck Antonucci, when he became, you know, he's Secretary of Education, after he was through, he got involved in a company that started online learning.
That's right.
We're talking 30 years ago, whatever it was. I mean, it was so long ago.
Yeah.
And he you know, they were at the very beginning of all this when people were saying, what? I mean, now, I don't know, 80% of the people get their MBA, get it online.
Yeah.
You know, he's at the cutting edge of it all. Yeah. And Leominster's been fortunate. We've had some real rock stars when it comes to education here.
Yeah. Chuck being one of them.
Yeah.
He was a great president, right, at Fitchburg State.
Sure.
The place came alive once you get up there.
Oh,
he really helped that place a lot.
It changed it forever.
Yeah, he really did.
But we've had a number of, you know, people that have come from town here who've made it big and done some wonderful things.
Yeah.
978-534-1626 is the phone number here. And let's see, I'll do some slides real quick, if you don't mind hanging in there, Steve.
Of course.
This gets interesting. Here are our numbers for COVID. So this is statewide, 7-day numbers. About 105,000 people tested positive. I'm sorry, about 105 tested. About 55, 69 tested positive. 69 deaths, one is too many. 1,393 in all of Worcester County. At the very bottom, you could see that's a 2-week number, 79. So we're at about 40. And hospitalization, thank goodness, went down. We were up over 700. So down at 634, intensive care is down, which is good, at 54, and intubated at 24, so we're up 1. But it's flu season, still COVID out there, so be warned, I guess, right? Take precautions. 1801 was the first time that Kentucky outlawed dueling. And in 1911, we have a Carnegie library. And 1911, Andrew Carnegie forms Carnegie Corporation and did all his charitable work, including libraries. You can pick out when you see a Carnegie library, you can tell it's, I can pick up on them now that I know what they are and have done a little bit of research on them. In 1940, look at this one. Walt Disney begins serving as an informant for the LA office of the FBI. His job was to report back information on Hollywood subversiveness. Imagine that? Who'd have thunk? 69 was Sesame Street on PBS. 1983, U.S. federal government shut down. I don't think that hurt us too much. Actually, no one noticed. If you shut City Hall down in city government, people would be like, what? You shut down federal government. Everybody's like, okay. Let's see, 1986, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, they did a 5-box. Remember they used to put out those 5-box record sets?
Yes,
they were a big deal. And then in 2012, the final United States presidential election results are declared after Barack Obama wins Florida to defeat Mitt Romney 332 to 206. Kind of funny because Mr. Stevens used to say, someday you'll see somebody win the election and lose it in the Electoral College.
That's right.
And I used to and I saw him at assisted living when he was down here at Sunrise, and I said, hey, Mr. Stevens. He said, what? I said, I actually remembered something you taught us. And I said, what? He said, you actually told us that someday this would be a determining factor.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah.
He laughed. But it's funny because he won Florida. Obama won Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know, Democrat can win Florida. Today.
Not today.
Not today.
That ain't going to happen.
It's National Day, Area Code Day, Forget-Me-Not Day, International Accounting Day, Marine Corps Birthday, National Vanilla Cupcake Day, Sesame Street Day, and World Usability Day. You have some of the events coming up, coming quick. Festival of Trees, Small Business Saturday on the 26th of November, and then Leominster Lights, and then December 3rd is the Winter Stroll. Get the leaves picked up. They're out there now. They're just about all off the trees. You got till the 26th. So get out there while you can. And Clash, the Club 3, Pro Wrestling Live, Saturday, November 12th. This Saturday night, I'll be there. Mayor Dean will be there. We could end up wrestling. I don't know. But anyway, all proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Club. And one of my favorite things, if you would ask me, one of my favorite things, is to go to St. Cecilia's Christmas Arcadia Holiday Fair. They're doing poutines right now, and you should see all the people. It looks like there's church going, there's a mass going on. And they're all bringing in their pans. And this is one of my favorite events. All French Canadians come back for this event. I don't care how far they live, where they live in Canada, they come back. So it's tomorrow night at 5 and Saturday from 11 to 6:30. Breakfast of the bands we talked about. Pictures of the week. I have no clue what's in here, but here we go. Skate park making progress. Steve, get your board out. Come on, you got to show your grandkids.
Yes,
it's pretty cool. Skate park making progress down here on Johnson Street, behind Francis Drake School. New police station exterior coming along, and we added some brick. We wanted to keep it traditional, looking like downtown. There's the training room at the police department. Lots of infrastructure, wires everywhere. It's quite a different place than the existing one. It was built in 1957.
I know.
Police station.
It's old.
It's old as us.
It's time.
If it's old, we're old, because we were born in 57.
That's the year we were born.
Front entrance under construction. And we're doing this new facade program, and this is one of the projects, Water and Mechanic Street at the dog groomers, coming along really nicely, doing a really good job. Another project that is part of the downtown facade program is at C&M. Some people liked the color of the building. I wasn't fond of it, but it looks a whole lot better. And there we are, honoring our veterans at Samoset School, and thank you to Caitlin Costa for her undertaking, because if it hadn't been for her, none of this would have happened. There we are with veterans raising the flag, and thank you to Perkins School that helped clean out the pumpkin patch at Sholin. And Beacon of Hope, we use our ASA funds, and we use a great organization. You know them. I mean,
I do.
Remember they were at St. Anna's at one time.
Yeah, they're great. They do nice work.
They struggled through COVID, and they kept going, and they did things virtually. But it is an organization of love. Yeah. And there's Vicki there, and just so we used some of our funds to make a donation of $10,000. And the pole's gone right aside of Jiffy Lube. That pole that was sticking in the middle of the street, yes, it's gone. There you go. So you're having fun?
I am.
I mean, you've had quite a career.
I've been very blessed there. Yes, I do a lot of traveling. I just got back from Florida because we're working with all the dioceses in Florida. I'm going to Charleston, South Carolina next week.
A lot of Leominster people out there.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Lisa Angelini's still out there.
Is she out there?
Well, remember Tommy DiGeronimo and her moved out. I think their 3 daughters went there.
Right.
And I don't know if they finished school or where they are now, but Lisa's is still out there, as I understand.
So, I just came back from San Diego. I mean, I travel all over the country because our business is everywhere. Right. And so I still do a lot of travel. And, I've been very blessed. My career has gone very well. All my children and grandchildren are doing well. And so I've been very blessed in that regard.
And now you can have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as, you start worrying about payroll and people and HR problems and all that. But it sounds like there's a lot of growth in the industry, and you're right at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
So
it is. And, I have, of course, people in leadership positions in the company that handle a lot of that stuff. And so I'm able to kind of focus on client relations and doing some of the services as well, which I really enjoy. It gets me in the schools, see some of the kids. And I always like to see the kids progress when you're providing those services. So it's very rewarding. It really is.
So this really kind of puts both of your passions together, the political part or the human interest part, and then the Catholic Church part. I mean, you're able to kind of put them both together now and run with it.
It is. Yes, you're absolutely right. I can put my church interests, my education interests, my political interests kind of all together. And
And you might even make a little money at the end of the day. Isn't that fun? I mean, what's better than that? I was looking at a picture the other day, and it was the picture that we did at the senior center when we dedicated the building after Richie Gerard, who had put in some CDBG money. Peter Bovens, and they put up this building. Richie was one of those. Yeah, just give me the hammer and the nails. Just let's just do it.
Yes.
And we had that picture, and I keep thinking about it when we got that picture of everybody together, because we're it.
Yeah, I know. This is it now.
We're down to, this is it.
I think I had seen you at Jack McLaughlin's funeral.
Yes, yeah.
And I think he was the last to die, right?
No, it was...
no, Jack wasn't the last.
Who was it? Just passed away. what was his name? The big guy who was an attorney.
Oh, I think Moriarty. But he died before Jack,
did he? No, I thought he died after, but it was
maybe,
close.
You might be right. You might be right. I don't recall.
But Jack was still going strong at 90 years old.
Oh, my God.
He'd stop in and see me, and
he
remembered everything, Jack. And I could still see him campaigning, walking door to door up on Main Street. And
he had incredible energy, and he was very helpful when I was mayor, because I oftentimes would consult with him.
Well, he knew what it was like.
And he had a great perspective. He was very balanced. He wasn't a radical. He was good to just kind of talk about a balanced approach, which was helpful.
Dr. Tata was always a good guy.
Yes.
He was just a gentleman always, and always there. And if he saw you getting in trouble and things weren't going, he'd be the voice of reason and try to bring some civility into the conversation. But there's a whole lot of people that, the landfill. Remember those things and meetings on the land? Just so many things, and that all just sort of there.
Well, I'll tell you a story about the landfill. So the daughter I just mentioned, Annie, so we were literally in the delivery room, and my wife was about to give birth to Annie. And
I'm sure she's happy that she's being
well, anyways,
connected to a landfill.
Well, I'll tell you what. Right. Well, I'll tell you what happened. So literally, as she's giving birth, the nurse comes in and says, "Steve, we have an emergency." I said, "What's the emergency? We have to bring the phone in here." I said, "What?" So I get on the call. Well, apparently there was methane leaking. At that time, we didn't have that methane system.
Collection system,
It just closed. And so we had to evacuate some of the neighbors.
The houses, that's right, yes.
And we had this big emergency.
It was migrating into the people's basements.
Right. And so my wife at the time was like beside herself. Here she is in labor pain, ready to give birth. At the same time, we're trying to deal with this crisis. And thankfully, we got under control. And then we, of course, put in that methane gas collection system. But that happened right during the time which my final child was being born. So anyways, as a little
and those
side
are the
story.
things that come up. I mean, and today it's changed in the sense that it's Messenger from Facebook and Twitter, and so things have changed. But as much as they changed, they're the same again. It's just another vehicle to get it through. But I remember that. I remember the meetings with, and then we got to get out of here because Carl's over here. He's the Grim Reaper.
We're almost done.
Remember the meetings with Father Denevay? And about closing the landfill. He was such a big guy. He was like so big. He was like just massive guy. You could hear him coming down the stairs to the council chambers.
Absolutely.
And he'd be like, "We've got to close. And all the trash would blow over there." It just wasn't pretty. But I just remember some of those meetings. And, wow. The only thing you missed, big, was the consolidations of the hospitals.
That had to be tough, I'm sure.
Some of those were, and redistricting is always an issue because everybody wants to go to their school. They know it has to be done. Anyway, Steve Perla, thank you very much.
You,
Mayor Perla with us.
You.
And it was good. I've been wanting, and I bumped into you. I said, you know what, I got to get him on here, and it happened. So I fulfilled one of my wishes. All right, we're out of time here at Inside Leominster. Thank you. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. Thank you for showing up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisInsuranceAgency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
This is LTV.